Hi and welcome to 24 Astro. My name is Alva. Today I'm talking about Scorpio rising in our chart, in our natal chart, and what that means for you as a Scorpio rising, or if you know someone that has this placement. So the rising sign is one of the big three. So you have your sun sign, which is where your sun stood in what zodiac sign in which house when you were born, and it's basically your personified ego in this lifetime and incarnation. And it is kind of like in the higher octave, the higher vibration of that sign, that is where you have your vital energy, where your ego and soul together shines. And it's if we look at the solar system as the macrocosm, what you have inside, what the chart represents, is the microcosm inside yourself. So the sun is like the main character, you could say. What I'm sharing is based on esoteric astrology with a flair of different spiritual principles. I look kind of at astrology with a very holistic perspective, as well as I look at it through archetypal astrology, evolutionary astrology, the chakra systems, and so forth. So a lot of different kind of point of views. How I view the rising sign then is as important as your sun sign, which is the main character, but your rising sign is your soul flavor. If we think of the universal soul as a one unified big whole, it's all of the 12 zodiac signs together that create the oneness. And when they are cut into different pieces, as if we think of the oneness as a big ocean, and then we have a mug, and then we dip that mug into the ocean, and the mug representing your body in this incarnation, and the liquid inside is the soul, and that is your rising sign. So whichever rising sign you have, that is the soul's incarnated purpose. It is the soul's take on this incarnation, and we get taught that it is our social mask, but it's also so much more, as everything in astrology can be the more negative expression or the more higher expression. And how to transcend the sun sign is by exploring the positive expression of your rising sign. And if we have Scorpio rising, that is the soul the soul expression we have in this incarnation. That is our purpose in this lifetime. So if we think about the more positive expressions of Scorpio, that will help us achieve the sun sign purpose. That is what most likely will help you move towards your sun sign. So with that explanation, that is how I see the rising sign. And with all of this said, Scorpio rising then, as most of us know, Scorpio is the sign of great depth. It's the sign of darkness and transcending into, or going through, the phoenix rising through the ashes, and going into the depth of the psyche and doing that shadow work, the darkness, embracing the dark night of the soul, transcending every limited fear-based belief to come up to something greater. And what this means, since that is just like the overview of what Scorpio represents, because it's also so much more. It's about also embracing that it's almost like you're fueled by darkness. Darkness is what's make you this intensive, fearless depth of a sign that is so often described as alluring and magnetizing and very sexual intensive sign. And it is that, like, that essence of, I know fear, I know darkness, and I do it anyway, and I'm not enslaved by fear like so many other people are in this world. That's like depth of confidence. It's really what it is. That if, and it also depends like what age you are. Maybe you are still in that darkness and you're very paralyzed by it, and have like things attracting to you that are very like heavy, and you feel like this hopelessness, this overwhelm. But it's all part of your soul's incarnation, your soul's purpose, intent, and knowing, I can only tell you that it is this is what you're signed up for. Like your chart is what you agree to. It's your soul contract. But it doesn't matter if I say it. We have to always experience everything before we can, in reflection, integrate what we see in astrology. So I'm just giving you a personalized view of the sign, and then take whatever resonates. So your soul wants you to deeply go through a regeneration of yourself. You're supposed to become like a 2.0 version of yourself, and a 3.0 and a 4.0. You're supposed to really like level up and in intensified versions of yourself. And maybe you have strategies on how to achieve these transformative changes. I can give examples. For myself, for example, it has been pushing myself to apply for jobs that were very out of my comfort zone. That really, like, every time it really pushed me to expand my comfort zone, and move abroad, for example, move to different places, like new boyfriends, everything. Like, Scorpio rising should really get comfortable with the uncomfortable and strive for being outside your comfort zone, because that is what will always propel you into the next level and next version and next phase of your life. I look at astrology from the Placidus house system, so if you use something else, then please check your 8th house to see whichever zodiac sign you have in the house of this scorpionic flavor of change and rebirth and sexuality and depth. Anytime you're trying to embrace or propel yourself into the next level, you have this very sensitive, very like, it can get so overwhelmed. We can see on how to better help ourselves to go on to these next phases. If we give ourselves these really, what one could really benefit from is to develop this relationship to our inner child, to when we are feeling very uncomfortable about change, we try to have this already maintained relationship to our inner child, to give ourselves reaffirmations that we can handle this, and really focus on that root chakra. Like, that is a game changer. Like, if this resonates for you, and you know that you're someone that is very overwhelmed when it comes to being outside your comfort zone, root chakra healing will change the game for you. And that could be doing like guided meditations on root chakra 10 minutes a day, if you can, morning and evening. But if you do that for a long time, like ideally a month at least, it will change everything. I promise you, you will be wherever you see your future version being. It will change everything. As if we resonate with astrology, the chakra system is based on the same principles. It's a guided system on how to transcend as a human on the evolutionary path to spiritual and ego being intertwined. The root chakra is where we are supposed to start with, and almost everyone in the entire universe needs to focus on their root chakra healing, and on like for a long time, not just like do something for a few weeks, just really like sticking to it and transcending that. Whew. Okay. I'm so like, I noticed myself going quicker now because I feel so passionate about specifically inner child and root chakra because it's so meaningful. If you are committed and you feel stuck and you feel hopeless about the future, if you focus on the root chakra for a while, like you have nothing to lose, everything to gain, please like give it a go. I mean that, like if you know that you want something and it seems so far out of reach and you feel so nervous thinking about it, and you like self-sabotage, you distract yourself, you reality escape, those red flags should tell you that you don't have a steady foundational base to stand on to embrace those depth of changes that you need to face. Also, as a Scorpio rising, it is very likely that your soul's intent is to focus on sexuality, as this is kind of like the most deepest wounding that we have as the human collective as a whole at this point. Like there is so much trauma when it comes both to our sense of security in this world, but also when it comes to sexuality and expression. So both root chakra and sacral chakra really emphasized here at the rising sign in Scorpio. And what we could do with this is to focus on both the root chakra and sacral. And I really talk about them because such a terminology. It's a very specific thing. Like if you search root chakra, you will have people that are specialized in this, and they will give you exercises, and you will read books that address exactly this that you would need to do. So it's such a good language to think about and to know for this specific purpose. It could be really beneficial for you to both like embrace the scorpionic themes in the higher expression, or like going from, if you search for the lower expressions of the Scorpio, to really get them into your own psyche and understand them and see and watch where they show up in your life, and then trying to work on them to see the higher expression manifest in your life. That will help. But a really good keyword could be to focus on shadow work specifically, and focus on your own sexuality to release that trauma. I would recommend a book called Freedom from Jeremy Griffith. It's a book talking about the human conditioning and how we're conditioned to think that we are actually evil when the opposite is true. And it's such a healing book to read. And I think especially for my Scorpio rising, because there is a lot of fear generated from the separateness of the ego from the soul. There's so much fear there. And from my perspective, what I've learned from astrology, the fear of the power that we have as humans I find that that is mostly the scorpionic, the Scorpio zodiac sign. That is like the fear and embracing the fear. And that book is really, it's so good. It's so good. And you can actually listen to it on their website, the first 4 chapters. And there is even like, I think it's an hour interview with the author where they talk about like the big overview or the big picture of the book. And that will really initiate you into the or like the dissolution of evil even existing. It's so freaking good, and it's free. I will link it below in the description, and if it resonates, please check it out. It's a real gift, and he's a biologist from Australia. And I always try to put in something in my videos that will give you some nuggets to really go after if you feel like what I'm saying is resonating, because a lot of the concepts or ideas or interpretations that I've accumulated, if I can like take my ideas and pinpoint on one specific thing that's influenced me the most, I will mention it so that you can have your own experience of diving into that media. And for me, that's really like the Freedom book. That is it's a real game changer, as I've noticed that fear is a very big thing for Scorpio rising. It's a very, if we realize that fear is man-made, except for like survival fear where some animal is chasing you and trying to devour you. Since we don't live in that society anymore, we live in our own comforts, in our own homes. We have food, most likely, often we do. And if you have a phone and watching this, you probably do. The fear is mostly derived from our own mind, thinking about the future, or like dreading the future, or thinking about the past, and just like torturing us, and like having these thought demons that run around in our mind. And those fears, those demons, are placed there from a conditioning, and we can get rid of them if we see them and we understand them and why they're there. We can get rid of them, and that is so empowering to realize that we're not a slave of them. And that's a lot of like Dante's, that is actually a very good like descriptive thing of Scorpio rising. Through the Dante's Inferno is a very good description of passing through the hell, the fear, and going through it, and then coming out onto God, onto love. Yeah, Scorpio risings are a very intensive sign, and we will experience a lot. It will be very intense in this lifetime, and that will also make us feel our feelings almost like deeper than other people, since we've had so many ups and downs, highs and lows. And that doesn't mean that only Scorpio rising will have this. If you have a lot of Scorpio placements with other planets, of course you will also have this like depth of experience, but specifically Scorpio, it's a very passionate and intense sign. Really, like, you need darkness to see the light. That is like the big theme, the big theme of Scorpio rising for me. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.